everybody, what's up? Welcome again to our latest episode of In the Zone. Together with me is Coach PK, Coach John, and Coach Victor.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
And today we're gonna talk about a hot topic regarding about naturalized player in international scene. Somebody commented last week, and today we're gonna talk more about it. All right, to start off, okay, let me give you, okay, a view in FIBA rules. FIBA rules says only one naturalized players can participate in one nation. And also is a different set of rules in ABL, because ABL, you just need to have a passport of that nation and you can actually considered as a local players, or you have a biological parents living or born in that country. All right, what can you say about these coaches? Oh yeah, Coach Victor, I forgot. Your name was mentioned in that comment. So can you start? What is your view about it, Coach?
All right, great to see all of you. Okay, for naturalization process, I would like to look at it at a broader view. Well, in Singapore, the naturalization process has seen great success in the field of table tennis and soccer in the international arena for the last decade. So, personally, I feel that naturalized players are the face of their respective sport. They are expected to deliver always. Okay, and by training with these players, the locals should raise their level over time through sparring, through learning from these players, and then eventually, hopefully, one day the whole squad in whatever sport can be made up of all 100% locals. I think generally that is the master plan of all the associations, whether it's basketball, table tennis, or soccer, right? But for naturalized players, I feel that they too have their own story to share, right? The margin of error for these players when they come to a foreign country with they have to maybe speak a new language to mingle, to train with the locals. It should not always be easy, right? Because recently I read an article about his account as a naturalized player in his country, Korea's top player. So he shared, as a family, the pressures that they experience, even his daughter, on during matches where he does not play well, the criticism, the abuse the locals will, put on the family. And then, as a player, he has to lead, the nation. And like you mentioned earlier, FIBA rule only allows one naturalized player to participate in international competition. So he as the only one, he has to make a statement every single time. Any bad game will put him in very negative light, in media, social media. So I can feel his pressure. So allow me to send a question to all coaches here. If today a country, let's say country X, okay, offers you a job to coach their national team, but the national team has 7 to 8 naturalized players, would you take up the job? I open this to all the coaches here.
Oh, I'm happy to start on that one. Having lived in Singapore myself for nearly 22 years now, I would answer the question quite differently to depending on where the country was. If country X was Singapore, I would probably say no, having lived here for the time I've lived here. And obviously in the right circumstances, it's not like I'm looking for a job at the moment, but if in the right circumstances, if I was looking for a position and it came up like that, I think if it was offered in another country in the area, I think I would take it up in another country other than Singapore. And I think that part of the reason for saying that is exactly what you just said, Victor. Not only if you were a naturalized player having to move to another country, if you're a coach going to another country. And let's use the example. Let's just say that Team X is Vietnam, considering that was the comment that was made. We were talking about Vietnam, or the person that made the comment in last week's show, where we were talking about Vietnam. If it was Vietnam, it's a long term. It's not a long term plan. To take 7 or 8 naturalised players is not a long term plan for your country, as you say. And it would be a short-term job. It wouldn't be something that's going to be sustainable. There has been many examples, I think, in certain countries where countries have taken a foreigner, given them citizenship, made them, abide by the naturalised rules, and then that player has literally taken that opportunity to just say, well, I don't like this sport, or I'm switching to another sport, or I've got my green card now. I don't need to really work hard. So I think in some instances it doesn't work. But personally, to answer your question, Coach Victor, I think I would take it up in another country, but not here in Singapore. I think if I was offered the job in Singapore, I would want to build a Singaporean team and not just have a ready-made team. As you sort of mentioned as well, if you have that one player that's the star, you want to hopefully bring the other players up to a higher standard, if that's what it is. I guess there's certain cases in some countries as well where a potential player moves to that country, might have basketball experience and be quite talented, that has moved there for a different reason, and then is given the opportunity to become a PR or naturalised, as we're talking about. And then I think that's a little bit different story. But if an association actually goes out and gets 7 or 8 naturalised players, they're not planned. There's no long-term plan there. That's just a short-term plan. So I think as a coach, I would take that job on in another country where I have no connection. But if it was, as I said, if it was Singapore, I feel a bit of a connection to Singapore. I wouldn't take the job on if that was offered in Singapore, but potentially overseas, yes, I may.
So three naturalised players, not 7.
3 naturalised. Look, I guess. Well, it's a good question. I guess I'd have to consider it, but Singapore, if it was 3 and you've got a squad of 50, you've got a squad of more than 15 potentially. You can, only take the 15 to most competitions. Some cases only 12. But if it was 3, maybe I'd take the job in Singapore if it was 3. Because again, you look at what we discussed last week about the ABL as well. The ABL team in Singapore is 3 foreigners, and I think, without a doubt, over the years, and we talked about the ABL, over the years of the ABL, I honestly, my stronger beliefs is that the standard of the local players is lifted because of the expats. But if we even delve a little deeper into the origins of the Slingers, of course, the original Slingers played in the Australian Basketball League, which was, it had a bit of a positive effect as well on the local players, but it was so limited because I think there were only about 3 or 4 local players that even got a chance to play, and when they did, it was a minute's court time if that was all it was. So, obviously it's a big difference. So I think the ABL has made a massive difference to Singapore. But again, yes, Victor, I think I probably would take the job in Singapore at 3, but not 7, not 8. I don't think there's a long-term plan if a country's doing that, or an association or governing body is doing that in their home country. So, PK, what's your thoughts?
I personally am not really much in favor of having a lot of naturalized players, because a small number will be fine, like what Coach Victor said, 3. You help to boost the rest of the team, but at the same time, you will not deprive them of a chance to play. And because after all, there's 5 guys on the court. If there's 3 of them, there's your expats or your naturalized players. Then you still have 2 guys who can build up their standard. And then from there, when these players they take a break, they also allow the bench players to come out and play. So and on a daily basis, I think when they go for practice, they also get to spar against each other, like what Coach Victor says. So that will definitely raise their standards. And who knows, maybe these guys, they really settle down in Singapore, and the next generation of their players might also be a contribution to the national team. Yeah, so that's what I think.
So would you take a team with 7? No.
I think if I want instant success, maybe I go to Vietnam and then there's 7 naturalized players. Yeah, maybe I'll take the team. If I want to be like a famous coach, international coach, I can say I led the team to a championship. But then when people they look at it, they'll say, "Hey, you didn't do it with your local team. You actually have foreign imports, so to speak." Yeah.
Yeah, my view on this is totally different, guys. So sorry about it. I would start with commending slingers, okay, in what they are doing right now. Okay, the local players really stepping up, and then they are really doing a good job, okay, in stepping up in international scene with the help of a few imports. Okay, so I can see that they are underdog, but they always manage to get into the top 4. All right, so I really want to commend Slingers in doing a very good job in that. But in the process, and then the question of Coach Victor, should I take 7 naturalized players? Okay, my views are different because I came from Philippines. Okay, and then I certainly know what is happening there. Okay, and it's very common to get a lot of naturalized players. Okay, and then that's where we see the diversity of players, okay, all over the world coming down to Philippines. And actually, right, that helps Philippines, okay, to develop more talents. For example, Bobby Ray Parks, the father is the first one of the top imports, okay, from US. It came down to Philippines, married a Filipina, and then the result is Bobby Ray Parks Jr. And he became a MVP of the Philippines. And then if you ask me more naturalized players to come to Singapore, okay, so what I'm gonna do, because actually it's a good thing for me. You know why? Because in FIBA, in SEA Games, I can only choose 1. Okay, so these 7 natural players, we're gonna fight for the slot. Okay, who will be? Because guys, in the Philippines, you haven't seen those naturalized players, maybe except and sometimes Andre Blatch, maybe done this. They slacking off because they know that you need me. So why would I train so hard? You got me. But if there's a competition, okay, if you're slacking, I'm gonna take your place. It's all about competition. Basketball is about competitive. Okay. And for example, I have an opportunity to give these naturalized players to play in ABL now. I can limit the spot as well. Okay, only 3 of you can go in. Who will be the... So that's the way that I'm thinking about advantage of more naturalized players in my team. So guys, sorry, I will take a job even though it's 10, 11, 12. The more, the better. The more diversity of players for me, it's better. It's all about learning new things, learning new methods to improve basketball, not only in Singapore, but all over the world. I think USA is also same. They get all the best players in everywhere. Europe, even though in Asia, in every part of the world, and then put it in NBA and it become entertainment for everybody. Why? Because they have the best of the best. You know, we need more talents, you know, to combine with our local players and develop basketball here in Singapore. That's what I think about getting more naturalized players. Coach Victor, what do you think about my thoughts about naturalized player? Did I answer a question or?
Yes, I think all of you, you have your own viewpoints, and I feel that we have to look at it, in whatever position we're in. So if I'm, for example, I'm a local player, I will look at this process as maybe, something that impedes me from getting to the national team. Okay, some locals might take it that, it's a great chance to practice with, better players. In basketball, maybe more skillful, taller players, for example. And if you take a look at the international teams, a lot of the naturalized players are usually taller ones because it provides that height that maybe a lot of countries they are lacking of. So if you're the local players, you might think in this way. But I do see that, especially in the table tennis sport for Singapore, a lot of times there are a lot of complaints about even we did very well for table tennis in SEA Games, even Asian Games. We got certain results. They feel that even if you win, in a sense that it is not fair. So a lot of times these naturalized players are put in a situation where it's a lose-lose situation. You win, you win, people say that it's unfair, even from your own country. You see? And then if you lose, they will say that, oh, like you mentioned, oh, you slack off, you did not do your job, then all the abuse come in. So, I empathize with all these players as well. They do face their own problems, you see. For me, would I take up a job, whether it's a first game 3 or 7? Personally, I would not, because for the past few decades, I've been developing talent at the youth level, at the very basic level. So I'm more towards producing the next generation of local national players. I'm more towards that.
Well,
I
I
agree with Coach Victor.
I totally respect that, Victor, as well. Yeah, Nate, I'd just like to say I agree with what Victor said too. I mean, we're all different. We all have different views. So I don't have a problem with the fact that you take a job with 7 or 8, naturalized players or foreigners in a country. And I said myself, I'd probably do it if it was overseas, and take it on short term. It wouldn't be something I'd consider as a long term thing, because I think then, as I said, the organisation or the association doesn't have a long term plan, in my view anyway, if they're taking that many. And again, that's my view. Your view's your view, and that's fine. We can all agree to disagree.
And the pay is very important. I forgot to mention. Can we talk about the pay first?
Okay, let's go.
And not talk about what was the number of naturalized players. We talk about the number on our salary, on our contract first. Then we think about, Anyway, I have to add one more point. If we are engaged as a coach, the coach's job is to coach. It is not up to us to debate about the politics behind the association, how they want to do, what is the purpose of their master plan and all. We are there, we coach, we have 12 players. Regardless of nationality, we do the best that we can do. And then if we take it, we go ahead and we try our best. That will be good enough.
All right, guys, you've heard what is Coach's view for today. If you're interested to comment, to suggest, please do so. As you can see, we want to read your comments and then discuss it in our show. So thank you so much for commenting. Do more comments, suggest more. We need that. Thank you so much, guys. So guys, join me, okay, in Under Armour court tour. Let's go. This is our court. Coach John is giving a lesson to Audrey. Audrey is a beginner. All right, so this is where we create basketball players, guys. Let's go. It's adjustable. Okay, it's programmable. You see, timeout delay 1.8 seconds. Okay, there's miss, there's made. So you can program it. This is the programming. Okay, so she's doing the B sequence. Okay, it's programmable. So this is the blaze pad, guys. So basically you're gonna sprint, touch. Okay, so soft, Mike. Good. What's up, Mike? Let's go, Mike. It's only 30 seconds, Mike. Come on. Good. Good. It's a resistance training. So now we're giving you one by one, okay, of our equipment here inside Under Armour Port. Alright. Gun, okay. And you just put on the password. And then you just set up. Okay, set up all the. So this is the shooting gun. Okay, Dr. Dish, guys. As you can see, you can shoot at least 1,000 shots in 1 hour. Is digital, so you can see your stats here. Yes. So that's the end of the short clip, guys. That's the end of the tour. Back to the panel. Let's go. And next up, last week we did a coach's interview, and this week we're gonna do a student player interview under our elite program. It's Caden Toh, and here's the clip. Hello everybody, welcome again to our Players Edition in the Zone. Today we got Caden Toh with us. Thank you so much, Caden, for joining us today. Anything to say before we start?
Hello everyone, I'm Caden. Yeah.
Hey, Caden, when did you start playing basketball?
When I was 12 years old, starting in primary 6.
Wow, why did you start playing basketball? Anybody influence you?
So my younger brother started playing basketball first.
Yes.
And then from there, the teacher in charge for basketball in my primary school started to know me, and then he asked me to join when I was in primary 6.
So that's the first team that you played for your school. What school is that?
Bukit Panjang Primary School.
Oh, Bukit Panjang, BP, yeah, okay. So do you have any jersey number that you like?
Yeah, number 34.
Okay, what is the significance of that?
My favorite player is Giannis.
Okay. Do you still remember the first time you played basketball when you were like 12, right? 11? In a match, 11?
12. So like
12,
when I was
yeah.
my first match, right? It was actually we only win by 2 points only, and it was quite an exciting game.
All right. From there, can you share us your journey until? So you started 12. You are now 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you bring us to your journey? Where did you play? The experience that you play, where and when? Okay.
So I started following Coach Ned when I was 13 years old when I joined secondary school, right? So I started following him. So first I played CDL with him. Then after that, when I was Sec 1 at the end of the year, he brought me to the Philippines, where we played with the local teams with some of the other people.
Two times, right?
Second time was secondary or Sec 2. But first time after that, then we came back and then we won our first championship. Yeah. And then when I was in Sec 2, June holiday, we went again back to his hometown, Taku Road, right? And then the end of that year, right, he sent me to the US because he had some contact and he sent me there.
Before that, we went Vietnam as well.
Oh yeah. So yeah, at the start of the year, at the start of Sec 2, we went to Vietnam. He brought us to some club tournament in Vietnam, and then we went there. We also won the championship.
Yes, guys, that's what we do here because we know, okay, how important the exposure outside Singapore is. One part of our program is to send them overseas. Okay, Caden, any skills that you are strong with, you know, your special skills, any skills like crossover, jump shot, or you're very comfortable to use in playing basketball?
I feel like I'm best at attacking the basket. Yeah.
All right. So tell me about winning and losing. You know, how important is winning to you?
I mean, if it's a serious game, then winning is like the ultimate objective. So it should be why you are playing that game.
All right. So how about losing? How do you handle when you lose?
Just take it as a learning experience.
Wow.
See what mistakes you made, and then try to improve on it next game.
Okay. So as a teammate, as a player, what do you think is your character?
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean?
That means, are you a team player? Are you individual player? What is the thing that you want to improve, you know, to help your team in terms of playing inside the court? Yeah.
Okay, so when I was in like Sec 1, I was like very cocky and very individual player. I never passed the ball at all. But then after that, like before my C division tournament, I was in Sec 2, I started to learn how to use my teammates because I suffered a shoulder injury, right? And then I started to use my teammates more, and that's when I learned like being a team player is actually better for everyone, not just the rest of them. It's better for myself also.
Any memorable moments when you play basketball? One or two?
Any of the overseas exposure trips that I follow him on. So probably Philippines and US is the most memorable.
Because you experience change. Do you experience change after you went to other parts of the world?
Yeah, it was like you expose yourself to different kind of play styles, the different training methods, and then you just learn the intensity that everybody trains at is like a lot higher than what we do here in Singapore. So it's time to learn from them also. Yeah.
Wow. So how about the parents? How supportive is your parents?
They're actually quite supportive.
Okay, guys, as you know also, I want to ask, because Caden is one of the top students in Maristella as well. How do you cope with the class and the training?
So like when you're in training, right, you just train out, and when you're in class, you focus on so like try to focus in class so that you don't have to relearn the same thing outside of school. Yeah.
All right. So actually, guys, Caden is undergoing our elite program here in SgBasketball, and then there's a very big plans ahead of him. Can you tell us about the big plans after you finish the elite program here in Singapore?
The goal is to like go to the US and probably play in the high school, then hopefully get a scholarship to go to a college.
All right, but before that, we are also planning to send you to Europe. Is it variable? Is it happening? Can you share with us?
So I'm not very sure. I'm not updated on this one also. This one really depends on what they are planning and what my parents support also.
Yes. I heard about your father talking about it, which is very good. I think your parents is very supportive. You need to be thankful. Rare to have a student athlete criteria that is high profile, because he is really doing well in school and also doing well in basketball. As you can see, he is top player here in SgBasketball right now and ready to take on the bigger challenge overseas. So what is your advice for those who want to be a basketball player and also maybe want to do good also in schools?
Just for basketball side, just be a team player. I think it's important to have a team spirit and also player. You cannot be a selfish and uncoachable player. That you being uncoachable and selfish just hurts your development. And being a good student, I think that one is just a lot of discipline, I guess.
For being a good student is a lot of discipline. Well, here you go, guys. You heard it from Caden Toh. Okay, wait for him in the future. Around 2 to 3 years from now, you will know him more, because I believe, okay, he will have a great success in his journey on his dreams to become a pro basketball player someday. Thank you so much for joining us in our In the Zone Player Edition. Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone. I've got a special announcement to make. We are going to launch next week's show, a new program. Okay, so each week with the In the Zone Challenge, we will give a prize the following week. So stay tuned next week for our first In the Zone Challenge.
All right, let's go. And that's it for today's, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And please, as we said, please comment below, suggest whatever things you want us to discuss here in the zone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.